It was a sad and difficult day for family and friends who gathered to remember Officer Scott Patrick.
He leaves behind a wife and 2 daughters, as well as thousands of officers in his police force family. Streets in his hometown of Mendota Heights were filled with people showing their support yesterday. Officer Patrick was killed in what he thought would be a routine traffic stop. People are remembering him for his devotion to serve. A sea of uniforms from around the Midwest came to bury one of their own Wednesday. 4,000 officers assembled outside St. Stephen's Church in West St. Paul, about a mile away from where Mendota Heights police officer Scott Patrick was gunned down.
Scott, I love you. We love you. Rest now. We'll take your watch from here.
Officer Patrick was memorialized in the same church.
Father, in your tender keeping.
Where he was married 26 years earlier. The future that family envisioned cut far shorter than expected.
Scott's work was his dream, and his family was his strength.
People of all ages from across the metro lined the 8-mile route as a procession of squad cars escorted Officer Patrick from the church to Acacia Park Cemetery.
He gave his life supporting our town. I feel like this is the least I can do.
A bell tolled 272 times, one for every Minnesota officer lost in the line of duty. Only the hooves of a horse could be heard as a caisson carried Officer Patrick to his final resting place, his casket draped with an American flag, his family following behind. One of Officer Patrick's daughters and his wife showed a sign of love to the community that supported them in this time of grief. At his burial site, men and women in blue give their final salute and dismissed their brother from duty.
Officer Scott Patrick, badge 2231, is out of service.
The man accused of killing Officer Patrick is due in court next week. You can help his family if you'd like to by making a donation at any Affinity Plus Federal Credit Union. We put more information at WCCO.com/links.
A 15-year-old Minneapolis boy has died after he and a group of friends went out for a swim. It happened yesterday morning at Lake Minnetonka. Investigators say his friends heard him call for help, and then he disappeared under the water. Nina Moyni is at that lake this morning. Nina, what do we know about this accident at this point?
Hi, Natalie. We're learning a little bit about this young boy who drowned here at Lake Nokomis. We know he was 15 years old. We don't know his name, but we do know that he went to South High School in Minneapolis, and he was a member of the football team. Investigators, dive teams out here saying this was just a terrible tragedy that happened while he and some friends were out to swim, and then his friends lost track of him. Water Patrol began searching for the boy just after 10 o'clock yesterday morning. The Hennepin County Sheriff's Office says he was again with a group of boys, saying they were out for a run, and then they decided to come here for a swim to cool off. And we're told the group was trying to swim out to some sort of raft in the water, but that's when one of them began having some trouble.
Then they realized one of them had gone under. And when I pulled up, the kids were still in the water, and I heard him yelling, "This is where we saw him last, this is where we saw him last." And by then, bystanders, like one woman just whipped her dress off and was in the water, and they were searching. And then, you could hear all the sirens.
You heard it there from a witness. A lot of people tried to help. We also know that his friends did try and save him. Unfortunately, it was just too late. Dive teams say it took about 1 hour to recover the boy's body. They don't know yet why he seemed to have this type of trouble in the water at that point.
Was he wearing a life jacket?
That's one thing. We know that he was not wearing a life jacket, and that's one thing that Hennepin County Sheriff's Office, water rescue teams really wanted to stress, that if anybody is not a great swimmer or very tired, that in a lot of situations it's just best to have those life vests on hand. Not that we know the circumstances yet surrounding why this happened to this boy, but just as a general reminder to everybody around our lakes and our pools.
Absolutely. We see commercials this time of year for it. Life jackets, definitely a good thing to have around. Nina, thank you.
A Twin Cities mother badly hurt in a hit and run has died. Relatives removed 35-year-old Ma Yang from life support yesterday. Someone hit Yang and her husband, Yi Zhang, as they biked in Oak Park Heights on Saturday. Happened just before midnight on 60th Street North. The driver did not stop. The witnesses did not get a good look at the car, but the State Patrol said it should have damage. Yang's husband is still in the hospital. The couple has 2 teenage children. If you'd like to help with the family's funeral expenses, there is a fund set up. You can visit WCCO.com/links.
Archaeologists are looking into skeletal remains found where a new CVS is being built in Hastings. Construction workers found the remains yesterday afternoon and called police. The chief of police says they are looking at this as a possible gravesite. They say if experts at Hamline University determine the bones are over 50 years old, it will be treated as an archaeological investigation. If the bones are under 50 years old, it will be a criminal investigation. But they are leaning toward this being an old gravesite.
This morning, investigators in Sartell are looking into what caused another fire at the old Verso paper mill. It's quite a sight in the community just north of St. Cloud last night. We got a lot of pictures and videos sent to us showing dark smoke coming from that building. Plant has been closed since a deadly explosion of fire on Memorial Day in 2012, and recently crews have been tearing the structure down, but it's not clear what caused last night's fire.
The new Vikings stadium is starting to take shape. Crews are hoisting 400,000-pound steel girders into place. They'll form the high arc of the stadium roof. It will take several weeks for workers to put the girders in place before they begin construction of the steel and glass stadium shell. Once finished, the stadium roof will be rise to 310 feet above the field. The stadium is expected to open in the fall of 2016.
Israel and Hamas are under heavy international pressure this morning to work out a peace agreement. There's less than a day remaining in a 3-day ceasefire after a month of violence. Negotiators in Egypt have worked out what each side wants. Hamas is looking for an end to the blockade of the Gaza Strip. Israel says the militant group must disarm before that can happen. Meanwhile, troops continue to dig in along the border. The 3-day truce expires tomorrow morning.
Today, companies are looking to hire veterans at a job fair in Brooklyn Center. Companies including General Electric, the Minneapolis Police Department, API Group, General Mills, and Wells Fargo are going to be there. It's at the Earl Brown Heritage Center, and it runs from 11 to 3. The unemployment rate for post-9/11 veterans is still hovering around 9%, much higher than the rest of the population. A California insurance company paid off a $21,000 settlement, but they did it in coins.
76-year-old Andres Carrasco filed a lawsuit against Adriana's Insurance 2 years ago after he accused one of their workers of assaulting him. So the company finally agreed to settle the case. But when Adriana's paid him, it was in buckets of pennies, nickels, dimes, and quarters.
It's too heavy. Too heavy.
There's over 16 buckets of quarters, nickels, and dimes and pennies. It's going to take us at least, conservatively, 1 week to count that whole amount of money.
That's crazy.
It's terrible.
That's really mean.
Our affiliate in Los Angeles tried to contact the company. They did not hear back.